Hi folks, welcome to my channel. I'm an American who has lived in Germany for too many years. Like really, I'm surprised that they've kept me this long. And in that time, I've moved a few times, had a few different German apartments. And today I wish to share with you 5 things that stood out to me because they were so different than where I'm from. I'll explain myself as well as make a few comparisons to American living. Maybe point out a few things I don't like as well. And maybe you'll learn a thing or two, just like I did when I was new here. I kindly request that you make sure to watch to the end of this video so that you can find out how you can help me with a simple request of my landlord. Don't forget to click like, because on today's video, 1 like equals 1 vote for Armstrong's crazy apartment wishes. More on that at the end of the video. For now, let's get into these 5 things that I, silly American living in Germany, like about German apartments. Number 1, the door situation. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it, but in the long run, for the most part, I like it. Let me explain. Now, the first thing that struck me when I was new here to Germany is that you often find German apartments, they don't have doorknobs that turn. Oh no, your key ends up being the actual doorknob, essentially, that opens the door. I do not love this. In fact, I hate it. And if you have a door that's a little bit tricky, you can end up getting like an injury, like a callus on your finger, just from trying to open the door. But that's not why I brought you here. Why I brought you here was because of this here. Before you even reach the final destination, my apartment door, you have to ring at the bottom and announce yourself. Once you have announced yourself downstairs at the front door and stated your purpose, I would then buzz you in, allowing you access to door number 2. And once you arrive at door number 2, assuming of course that you know the secret password, I would then invite you into my humble abode. But I like this. I mean, I guess you could probably find similar things in American apartment buildings, but I didn't grow up in an apartment. I grew up in a house in the middle of nowhere town outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And after I left my parents' house, I moved into an adorable trailer. But that trailer door was anything but secure. Now that I think about it, my time in the trailer could be where this habit of mine comes from that I have, where I tend to just keep weapons near the door because you just never know, safety first and America or whatnot. I must make it clear that unfortunately not all German neighbors play along with this nifty little double security system installed in our apartment buildings. Nope, some people will hear the buzz of the doorbell from downstairs and instead of going, "Hello, who are you? Are you safe to let in or are you a serial killer?" Nope. Instead of doing that, they just hit the key button and let in whatever hobo they want. But anyway, let's move on to number 2. Number 2, die Rollos. I had to Google this to find out what the hell they were called in English. Turns out they're called roller blinds. Now, growing up in America, I had seen shutters on windows that are very similar to they open like doors, wooden shutters. And of course, I've also seen something similar in design, but on the inside, blinds for on the inside of your apartment. You hang them instead of curtains, But I never saw anything like these nifty Rollos that I've had on every apartment I've lived in Germany. Here in Germany, in winter, when it's really cold, we make sure at night, for example, to shut all of the Rollos on the windows real tight. Keep the warmth in and the bitter cold out. And on the very few hot and sunny days that we will get here in Germany in summertime, well, what we do in a land where we don't rely on air conditioning, like where I'm from, what they do is you make your apartment completely dark. You just shut the Rollos. And then, well, we all live like mole people. But I gotta say, when I was new here in Germany, I was skeptical of this. And probably for the first 3 years, I thought I was really missing air conditioning. But I gotta gotta tell you, the combination of these thick stone walls that they build these beautiful German houses out, and the complete darkness by blocking the sunlight out, it stays pretty damn comfortable in here. On super hot days, I just put a fan on and live like a little mole person in the darkness. And for the most part, I'm good. And I mean, this is so much better for both your body and the environment than air conditioning. I like that. But there's one other thing I learned as a foreigner observing the German culture. The Germans have a secret language. The Germans can communicate with the Rollos. And I've studied it enough that I am able to translate it for you into basic English. You see, when your German neighbor thinks that you, or generally anybody outside of their apartment, is being too loud, maybe, God forbid, it's on a Sunday, or even worse, maybe you're being too loud outside on a German holiday. Maybe it is getting late, maybe you did drink a little too much and you are getting a little too loud, or maybe you're just living your damn life and you're laughing, but just generally being too loud for that neighbor inside who just wants Ruhe. Well, if you happen to be that kind of outside loud offender here in Germany, I promise you that you will hear the angry and passively aggressive Rollo slam. And everybody knows what it means. Where I'm from, we would just open the window, yell, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" or throw a bucket of water on them. But I like knowing this secret German communication. Moving on. When I first moved to Europe and I saw the toilets in Germany, I have to say, I was impressed, yet slightly confused. Let me explain. My first thoughts were, why are there two buttons? Why is there a shelf? Why does it seem like the Germans make even the simplest things complicated? Turns out, in this situation, the Germans' tendency to overthink was a pretty damn good thing for all of us. Turns out, these buttons right here, they're all about conserving water. You got option number 1 for the pee-pee and option number 2 for the poo-poo. I like that. So the toilets here are environmentally friendly. They conserve water, and the bowls do not contain anywhere near the amount of water you see, for example, in American toilets. And those weird shelves I mentioned that are in the toilet that you see very often here in not just Germany, but a lot of Western Europe, I would say. Well, Armstrong asked many questions, and quite a few Germans giggled at me for, I guess, my not knowing. But it turns out those shelves are so that you can look at your deposits. Apparently, we're supposed to pay attention to the pee-pee and the poo-poo. I had never heard that before moving to Germany, but I think they're right. So yeah, I like German toilets. Moving on. You know, the first time that a German let me into their cellar, I was excited. Dark, underground, creepy, mysterious. These are all things that interest me and make me want to investigate further. Now you see, in America, big as it is and many different styles of homes, you'll see a variety of cellar or basement situations. But what I was used to where I'm from, in Pennsylvania, was pretty much just two options. Generally, where I was from, the basement, if you went down into it, it was just a cold stone underground room, generally used for storage. Generally, just go down the steps and it's one big square room. But also, I think fairly common in America is you'll see a lot of people will go down there and finish either a part of it or all of it and make it sort of like a hangout room. You know, like with a bar, maybe a big TV for like gaming and drinking and such. But the German basements, when I first went into them, I was fascinated that often they've got like bunches of these little rooms built in, right? And I mean, I think that the average German watching this video, they're not going to be impressed at all. But I love these like medieval style doors. First off, I say medieval style because it's got like the old metal lock here, and also the height of them, I love seeing this and thinking, in the Middle Ages, I would have been a giant. But because I've mentioned this a few times to a few different Germans, and I've seen then a few different basements, I found them even more interesting when people started telling me that some of these buildings, for example, were originally connected in like a tunnel system. I'm gonna guess it wasn't all of Germany, but there's a decent amount of buildings that had the basements connected, door maybe through that room that went into the next building, and ultimately, in some cases, led to a bunker. For example, in emergencies, war. So yeah, I find German cellars interesting, and I feel like they got stories to tell. If these walls could talk, they got stories to tell. And I like that. Moving on. Speaking of places with stories to tell, Germany has a long and rich history, and the same can be said of many of the private properties here. Even after 20-some years of living here in Germany, it is not uncommon for me to just go on long walks just admiring old German architecture. Some of the old buildings here, they tell stories right on the front of their buildings. Sometimes there'll be dates like 1800 something, sometimes intricate details, little flowers, trees, sometimes even the faces sculpted into the building of the first family that built that property. I can't tell you how many times me, silly American here in Germany, am walking down the street with one of my German friends and I point out, oh, look at that building. Isn't that just beautiful? German friend will look either confused or completely not impressed. However, I will continue and I'll point out, oh, look, there's like pictures of wheat or fish, and then I'll wonder if they were farmers or importers or fishermen. And my German friend will respond with a pretty much a blank stare, little interest, and consist that we continue on to the kiosk or wherever we were going. Most of them are just not interested, but I will forever be a tourist here. At least when it comes to gawking at your old buildings, Germany. I am all up in your hoods, staring at your buildings, wondering about the families that built them. What did they do? How many people lived in that house? How did they get through hard times like wars and such? Could they have ever imagined that one day their big home would turn into multiple apartments, multiple homes for multiple people? Do the ghosts that dwell in these buildings approve of my residence here? My brain likes to get lost on stuff like that. And I feel lucky to be in the heart of so much history. For example, I'm sitting just above and next to where the original river used to run that the very city I live in is named after. It's down under all that concrete next to that pretty little yard down there. And I'm just saying, from the very first pagans that probably set up residence along that river, well, what was once a river, but is now just a trickling little stream under a parking lot. But from the very first pagans that lived on this property to the present family that built the current structure that I live in, there's so many stories there, so many things they saw, so much history that they lived, and I think the good energy remains. And I like being surrounded by good energy and interesting history and stories. And I do hope that you enjoyed these 5 things I brought to you today, but we're not done yet. Oh, hey, look at you. You made it to the end of the video. Good for you. This is the part where I ask you, my kind viewers, for your assistance. And it won't cost you anything. Now, if you've been watching my videos, then you know that I lived a bunch of years just go. I lived in the south of Germany. Now I live in the northwest of Germany. And after several moves, multiple apartments, different regions, I found my home. I found my home here in Germany. And I really do love where I live. It's not perfect, but I'm telling you, nowhere is. I've traveled. Nowhere is perfect. But let me tell you something. Just because something isn't perfect, that doesn't mean that we just accept it. No. That mentality reminds me of the one German phrase I hate the most. Es ist halt so. No, I say if there's a chance to make improvements, we should attempt to make improvements. That said, as much as I, silly American, love my current German apartment that I live in, it has come to my attention that we have a yard. I showed you just a few seconds ago. There's a yard down there. And at one point when I mentioned to my landlord that I wanted to do stuff in that yard, as us Americans do, to my delight, she said, of course I may go out there and film a video or plant flowers, whatever I wanted. She shared with me stories of her family enjoying the garden down there as it was when she grew up here. and she made it clear that we in the house should enjoy it too. I thought that was really nice. I mean, technically, I only rent an apartment, but I like that my landlord wants us all to really enjoy our home, this whole place. That said, you don't just tell an American here you can use this plot of land and not expect us to steal it, blow it up, or fill it with animals. I thought that was just common knowledge based on our history. Unfortunately, after many discussions, even negotiations and compromises involving monkeys, it would seem that my landlord does not agree with me when I say what this property needs is a pony. As I've already stated, I love this place. I both respect and like my landlord. So clearly there can be no stealing or blowing up here. I can't do that. Not without her permission, at least, I guess, but I'm just here to argue that there is clearly enough room for a pony down there. And all I ask of you, my dear viewers, right now is to please leave a comment down below, simply stating something like, I agree, Armstrong needs a pony. And maybe it'll help me persuade my landlord. I'll update you all in a video when I get my new pony, because I know she's watching. I'm just saying a pony would make this place great again. I appreciate all of your help in these trying times. One last thing for my beloved members. I just uploaded a new video to the members only section where I give you folks a full apartment tour, tell you what I really love about this place, but also I introduce you to my cats, Isabel and Gizmo. That video should be up right now for members only. And if you also want access to members only video, all you gotta do is click that join button. Upon clicking that join button, you'll be greeted with 3 options to pay to support this channel. But I wanna make it clear, all members get access to members only videos, special emojis, and live chats if I ever get my act together. But once you click join, you automatically become one of my beloved members. And I really do appreciate all the support. Whether you're a member, whether you just click like, or whether you're just here watching my silly videos. I hope to be coming at you soon with a new video, but until that happens, I do hope that you're over there taking care of yourself.